Those who will be watching or listening, a lot of great names from the past are going to be here. It's a very exciting program that is planned. I'm going to ask Jason and Peter to answer this question. You know Patrick, line mate, friend. Is he going to cry?
I think,
we've made him cry a few times.
On the ice. I think Pat is gonna hold it together. He's gonna be the cool guy, but at the end he's gonna crack and definitely gonna cry.
And you know what? Who could blame him? Honestly, such an emotional.
No. I just, on a serious note, it's, we are all very excited for him. A lot of guys are coming. A lot of our, friends who even play against us are coming, and I think Patty deserves this night. I think. We all gonna celebrate the great career he had, and even my son is so excited to come on Saturday, and so for everybody, it's just gonna be a great night of hockey, and just to answer your question, he deserves to cry because he had unbelievable, I think it was 18 or 20 years playing for this club, and I think it's gonna be a very special night.
And I think there'll be tears in the eyes of some of the fans as well. It will be
what happened to Sicky? Like, he just talked to you guys.
I didn't even know he could speak English.
Some of the PR people were trying to reach him for like 3 months straight now, and didn't even call, didn't talk to anyone.
My son told me to be nice tonight, so
he wants to get close and get in a photo on Saturday, maybe. So
no, my son said he's coming on the ice, so I don't know how to explain it that he's not. That's gonna happen probably on Saturday morning.
We're going to talk, of course, about your careers and talk about some moments in 2000 and all that, but let's just get the fans caught up on what you've been up to lately. Jason, you said you live in Dallas. What's been keeping you busy these days?
Yeah, the kids, family. It's nice to enjoy time with my wife and the 2 kids that I have. When you play, you miss a lot of their lives growing up, and we're always on the road, and even when we're at home, I always say that during the day, we just don't see our children that much, and it takes a special wife and family to be involved with an athlete, and so now it's payback time for us. But I enjoy it. I mean, I get to watch my son play baseball every weekend, and my daughter play soccer and dance, and the things we never got to do or experience when we played. So that keeps us.
You mean dancing and playing soccer?
Pardon me?
Things like dancing and playing soccer?
Yeah.
Those are the things you never got to do?
I never got to play that. You guys wouldn't let me play soccer.
Well, you were terrible.
They were fixing hallways in every single ring.
So you're being a dad and working, I know, in the real estate business and just staying busy with life. Peter, you're back in New Jersey. What brought you back to New Jersey?
Well, it brought me back because my son is playing, and he's pretty good hockey player. So, the youth hockey here in New Jersey is actually really good. And, I didn't want to go to Minnesota or to Canada or somewhere,
Why not?
Really, like the youth hockey in New Jersey is good.
Just like the old days, huh? Just ignore me.
He's not paying attention at all.
So, we decide, on serious note again, we decided with my wife, live in the Sunshine State. We lived there for a couple of years, and, we want to give ourselves a chance. And, obviously in Florida, there is not a lot of teams and a lot of players, and, so we basically move up here for a few years and let's see where it's going to take us. But, I didn't want to go to Minnesota. I want to go back home, so we went to New Jersey.
And you didn't want to go to Canada. Well, we're glad to have you back. People are leaving New Jersey and going to Florida, and you decided to come back, but you are welcomed with open arms.
Trust me, it didn't take one night when I talked to my wife about this. It took a month.
Patrick, how has retirement been, and what's been keeping you busy?
You don't follow my Instagram?
I do. Maybe not everybody else is.
No, it's been great. Yeah, I get asked quite a bit if I'm bored or what am I doing, and I don't have time for anything. As Jason said, it's a great privilege that we have as fairly young dads that we can spend the time with our kids and be in their lives. And you know, it's the same thing for me. I love my everyday routine. Take the girls to school and do the activities after and travel. We moved back to Prague for a little bit, and everything's so close there. You know, you go to Switzerland, you go to Austria. You know, in wintertime skiing. Obviously, you guys know I started doing that again from a couple of years ago, and I love it. And just going for a beer with my buddies back at home anytime, you know, just walking around the town, it's great. So I really enjoy my life. I still am involved in hockey a little bit. I work with the junior national team. I go under 16 years old, the young kids, they're very talented, and they just want to learn, they're eager about any information, so I go with them as a, I guess, special consultant or something like that. And it's pretty cool for me to be around those guys and see them just, you know, how much better they're getting on, you know, each week. And so I am in hockey, but I don't want to do it full time, not yet. I'm really having a blast, just having fun.
Well, there's too much that you give up when you play. It is a big focus, and so enjoy the time, absolutely. So now we're here to talk about the time that the three of you electrified the fans, drove opponents crazy, and led the Devils to so many victories. Now, Patrick, you were drafted by the Devils. Peter, you were drafted by the Devils. Arnie, you're not the first Edmonton Oiler the Devils have traded for. You're not the first one to have success. You were 7th pick overall by Edmonton, and now you get traded to the New Jersey Devils. What's going through your mind, and how much did you know before you got together with Patrick and Peter, you know, what they might bring to the table, and what, if you were put together, you might be able to accomplish?
Playing in the West, we never really, I didn't know a whole lot about the Devils. I think the Devils were known as the trap team and the boring team, and we were more of the run and gun, and that's probably why we never made the playoffs, and New Jersey always did. So it was a big learning experience for me coming over, learning how to play defense and rather than no offense. I didn't know much about Patty Ursicki. Like I said, playing in the West, we didn't really get a lot of information in the East. But when I came over, I learned a lot. I think the first thing that when I got here, Robbie Fatorik, who was the assistant coach then, who everybody knows is a very big quiz guy, and would always give us quizzes and test us every time. And the first time I met him, he didn't even, you know, introduce himself. He just said, "Come with me." And I was like, man, I'm in trouble already. I just got here. And I went in the back room, and he goes, list the 5 top teams, offensive teams in the league you think there are. And so I listed, you know, at that time it was Colorado, Detroit, you know, the norm high-scoring teams. And he goes, okay, list the top defensive teams. I go, well, you guys have to be number 1 because you guys play this trap. And he goes, why didn't you list us in the top offense? And I said, well, you're just not really known for the top offense. He goes, do you know who number 1 offense is right now? And I'm like, no. And he goes, we are. So, you know, New Jersey always had that perception of the trap and everything. And even when we were playing together, we would be one of the best offensive teams in the league. But it was always that, well, you guys trap, so. And we might have, but we ended up winning doing it. So I would trade all the offense in the world to play the trap and to win Stanley Cup. So that was my first impression of New Jersey. And then Patty and Sicky and I don't think we didn't start playing each other until the following year after, and things just clicked.
So take us through that period, Patrick. Chemistry on a line is so elusive. Coaches look to find it. You know it when you see it. It's hard to get. So go through how the process began, you know, who you were playing with, what changes had to take place, and did you realize right away when the three of you were together it was going to be pretty good?
Well, with Sicky it was known, you know, we played together in Albany and played together more obviously than before Jason came along. And did we ever play together on the national team?
Well, we did play together. But
We were playing on the national team together, but not on the line together.
Not on a line together.
Yeah, but you know, the chemistry we had, it was special from get-go, obviously. and I think that the main reason is because we thought the game the same way. We wanted to play the game the same way, and when you have players like that, you get on the same page. And although you know, a lot of coaches and people say communication has to go a long way, and we tried it. We tried it. You know, a lot of the times we'd have a great communication. Sometimes we didn't talk, but that was all part of it. On the ice, when we did step on the ice, it was so amazing. And when Jason came along and Robbie put us together, you know, everybody thought, you know, they're gonna put this big guy to protect them in the middle, and that's about it. You know, he's got a big shot, and you know, they're gonna just gonna try to feed him the puck. But I said it many times. People don't realize how good of a player Jason was. The skill that he had, you know, and he just fitted perfectly with us. He you know, he got us. You know, the thinking behind each play, where we wanted to be. We could rely upon each other, and nobody cared. You know, we kind of, I don't know if it was a little unwritten rule, but we wanted to do so well, all three of us, that when we had a chance to be on the ice for the empty netters, we were like, all three of us got to touch it before we put it in the net. Okay, so we all get a point. So
I don't remember that part.
That was kind of selfish, but
It was just between me and Patty.
no, oops. No,
I knew it.
I remember
For all these years.
Yeah, Jason was always like, "What are you guys talking about? Why are you guys talking Czech always to each other?" It had nothing to do with him. It was just for, you know, our opponents. But we did want to pass it to each other more often than to Jason. But no, it was a special 2 years. Jason said that, and I'm gonna say that on Saturday probably. But those were the two most fun years in my career, in my long career here in the Devils. I can't actually believe that we only played together for not even 2 years, 2 seasons, which is amazing, because who knows what could have happened if we stayed together longer. But it was that special that we do remember it, you know, so fresh, and we'll remember it for the rest of our lives.
Peter, what was that chemistry about? What made it so special? That communication, not only verbal, though it might have been a little rare, but just that understanding on the ice.
I think we all kind of got the game the same way. You know, I think we all wanted to play the give and go. You know, we all had shot, we all had passing, we all had the hockey sense. So, you know, when I watched the highlights too with my son, actually, always, "Dad, come here, let's watch this." You know, I always go, "Oh my God, how did Jason see me there?" Or how did Patty game 1 against the Colorado from behind the net pass when he could have scored, but he went behind the net and he passed it to me to open net. So, you know, there was something special. I think about this all the time. You know, like when we got traded, me and Jason, you know, we all got play with a lot of good players. You know, I play with Sid, I play with Gino Malkin, but you know, never play on the line with 2 other guys that we clicked the way he did. And you know, it was fun to come into practice. You know, it's nothing better than dance 3-on-1, Scotty Stevens. But
And then
you know,
run.
And then run.
Like, you guys gonna have that much time in the game. That's what he always said.
So definitely, it's I can say for myself that these were hockey-wise, you know, best 2 years of my hockey career by far.
Yeah, it was fabulous to watch, no question. So we could go over so many things. We could be here for hours, but let's fast forward to the championship game in 2000. Actually, I want to go back to Game 5, losing not here, but there, but losing in New Jersey to Dallas. What's the thought process after that long game, 1-0, it's tripled overtime, Dallas has some momentum going home. What's the plane ride like? What are you thinking as you get ready for Game 6, Peter?
I was thinking about it because I remember, Patty probably doesn't remember that, but I remember when Patty, you were screaming at Bobby. Do you remember Bobby Holly had a huge chance? I don't know if you guys remember that, but I remember that Patty was screaming at Bobby, "If you would have scored there, we're not coming there." But
What was I thinking? I can't believe I'm still sitting here.
And Bobby probably by that time on the plane had like fish sandwich, but
Or Apple.
you know, it's you know, it's for me it's kind of a little different because obviously everyone knows what happened there. I didn't get the chance to be with the boys on the ice, but it didn't really take anything away from winning the cup. But it's definitely would be so much better to win it at home. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people do know, but there may be some of the younger fans here who don't know. But Peter was concussed during the game, laid out in an era when it was a lot more physical than it is now. Was the hit dirty?
Yeah. He'd still be suspended right now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why going back to my son, but he just did something at the school about me, and I was waiting for him outside the school, and there was like 5 kids walked out, and he goes, "Is that the guy who got killed?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." And then the next guy comes out and he goes, these are kids in the 5th grade. And he goes, "Wow, I thought you would be bigger." So I just grabbed my son and I went home. Those are the days of our lives.
Oh, were you aware in the hospital at all of what was going on, or were you just out of it?
I woke up in the locker room and I really wanted to stay, but it took me to hospital. So as soon as I got there, they were doing the testing, but while I was doing the testing, I was watching the TV. So I basically, I didn't miss much. Just 22 minutes, I think.
So I'm wondering what it was like as you see this goal being scored and you've won your first Stanley Cup.
I honestly, first I screamed, then I started crying, then the nurses went in. One of them, they were like, she was crying because the Stars, they lost. The other one was so happy for me, and then obviously I think it was Patty, I think Jason was there too, Bobby was there, Lou, and Larry Robinson. I think they came to hospital and they brought the cup. Yeah, and I left the hospital with them back to the hotel.
Yeah, it's just terrific. What a moment that was. Yeah, indeed. One of the many special things about the New Jersey Devils, really. I wasn't aware of that moment. I knew that Patty had visited you and Jason. I wasn't sure that the others had gone, and you're part of the team, even if for a moment, 22 minutes, you weren't part of the team. Boy, what a really special moment. So you guys set up this play. Why don't you set it up for us? Lead us into overtime. Lead us into lead us into the second overtime. You guys exhausted. You guys have decided we're going to take care of business ourselves. What are you thinking against Dallas?
Well, I know what I was thinking. Nobody would sit near me or talk to me between periods because I ended up in the penalty box right at the start of that last overtime. So it was kind of like the parting of the Red Sea when I was in the dressing room, knowing everybody was like, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to kill me if we lose this game. But I think just in the dressing room, without Sicky there between periods, Patty and I were kind of like, this is it. We got to do this for him and for us. And we've come this far, and what a battle it was every game. But we knew we had the better team. We knew in our hearts that we could do it. And we ended up doing it. And it was always one of them things everybody keeps asking me today, what a lucky pass. I can't believe he did that. And I'm like, if you watched it slow down the video, he knew that I was there. And that's just kind of the way we played out.
You guys keep asking me, and you see him, there you go, I'm not lying. And I always say that. I said, slow the video down. You'll see it tilt a little bit and look for me. And like, it was all the time with these two. All I had to do was find an open spot, and they always seemed to find me. And unfortunately, that was the only way we were going to beat Eddie. I mean, Belfour was unbelievable. It was kind of the battle of the goalies, that series between him and Marty. It didn't seem like we could score any goals at all on both sides. So that was kind of the way it ended up, that we did that, and Patty actually made me lean a little bit. I thought I'd get a little bit closer of a pass, but he made me lean, and I had to put it in the net. So
you know, that series, I look back on the whole playoffs, from game one right to the end. It was such a hard-fought battle, and no wonder we were all ended up with, you know, wrist guards on our wrists and black eyes and cuts and bruises, and it was such a battle, and but what a reward.
And so, Patrick, you're in the corner and you do take a peek. Do you know, is there some intuition based on the play that you guys had that there's going to be an opening there and my man's going to be in front?
Yeah, I think that that place honestly sums up the way we felt about each other, the way we played together. And it had a lot to do with us staying on the ice, you know, after practice, staying out there for a little bit longer and just throwing passes, just kind of moving around, just having fun. That was it. Like, we didn't do anything special. Maybe sometimes we just kind of, you know, doing shooting drills or something like that just for fun. But a lot of the times we just honestly just moving around, passing behind the back and things like that. And that play, it happened that way. I truly do believe I took a kind of a quick look behind me, and you know, obviously you cannot plan that you're gonna put it right on the tape or a little bit ahead of him, as Jason said. But you put it in the space where you hope that he is, that you kind of saw it in your mind, as you know, trust what you saw, and in that quick moment, and it just ended up that way. And you know, it was so emotional, obviously, after the game 5 at home. We were all ready with our families and fans and the closest, and wanted to really win it at home for our fans and experience the winning the Stanley Cup at home. And we had a champagne on the ice. You know, it was all kind of set up there. It was all overtime, so it could have gone, you know, either way. And then all of a sudden, you know, quiet, nothing. You know, and we have to go back to Dallas, you know, 3.5 hours on a flight. And I remember Larry was just telling us, you know, I was kind of sad and just kind of hanging my head, and he's like, hey, got another shot, you know, it's fine. You know, we got 2 more chances. We were the better team, you know, they made a good play. We're gonna do it again tomorrow, and tomorrow is our day. And obviously even that game, you know, you go again into the overtime, you know, first overtime. And like Jason said, I remember there was chances, you know, on their side, on our side, and Marty and Eddie they were so good during that series. And that thing that would happen to the play that happened to Peter, you know, it did affect the game, and it emotionally got us even more pumped that we have to do it for, not just for us, but also for him. And it was meant to be. It was meant to be. They won it the year before, that was meant to be for us, and now we obviously know what happened, unfortunately, the year after that. But those are things that matter, kind of, and sometimes you look back and it was just supposed to be that way.
So you were screaming, the nurse was crying, you're running away from Scotty Stevens, who's about to crush you along the boards. What are you doing after the goal goes in?
I actually was in the corner, kind of still moving.
He was celebrating by himself in the corner.
I was looking, I'm like, just like my hands up, and then I see Jason just bailing towards the penalty box, towards the middle of the ice, and I guess I better get going too. So I actually, you know, I skated all the way up there, jump up there. The guys were already coming out of the bench, and as I said, it was such a reward, such a great feeling. But at the same time, at that moment, I said that many times, I was so happy it was over. I was just relieved that we're done, that we don't have to play another minute, another second.
Yeah, the physical and emotional toll. We could go for, what are you guys doing for the next hour? You want to take some more questions? No, we could go on forever. Were we supposed to take questions from the audience? I'm sorry, just somebody let me know. Can we do a couple? I apologize. Yeah, all right, we got some microphones, so we'll do that. It's all about the fans, it always has been for these guys.
We can hear him.
Yeah, well, we'll let everybody else hear. Here comes a microphone, sir, right to your right.
My question's for Peter and Jason. When's your retirement nights coming? As you look forward to Patrick's retirement night, when's yours coming? Both of you.
We'll just celebrate it with Patty on the Saturday.
Well, as I said, it's all, you know, I know it. Listen, you know, this is a great night, and all these guys, you know, maybe they're unfortunate to play only for one team, and if they would, it'd probably be in the C2. and or in this situation. And so, as I said before, that this is a celebration not just for me, what I've done, and but the people that were part of this journey. And those guys were only for 2 years, but they mattered a lot. Trust me.
Question right here in the aisle. I'll pass the microphone right there.
Can you talk a little bit about the Philadelphia series and about Larry Robinson getting angry apparently?
Zeki?
He absolutely snapped.
Typical for Larry.
Like he he snapped in the locker room. I never seen Larry snap like that before. I can say enough about this coach. Larry is still in my heart. Is the coach who helped me tremendously in every aspect of my game, and I have so much respect for him. And he snapped and he got us going, and never expected. I don't know if you guys did expect him to snap like that, but it was straight to the point. It was very loud and got us going.
And there was a garbage can involved, is that true?
There was a bunch of stuff involved. It was just put your head down and don't get hit. But that series, we were kind of rolling along pretty well against Florida and Toronto, and then we started off like gangbusters against Philadelphia, and then we got down by 3 games. I don't know. I mean, we were just. I think we went back for that game 5. Or game 4 or 5, and I think we just kind of came after Larry lost it on us. We kind of just came together as a group and said, let's just go. And I know it's cliche, but let's go and play it one shift at a time, and we'll get one win and see what happens next, and we'll just kind of go from there. And after Larry did that, I think it just calmed us down. We weren't nervous about it. We were like, we put ourselves in this situation. And he reinforced the knowledge that we were the better team, and we should come out of this on top. And we've done this to ourselves. And I think we just went out there and played the way we did the first 2 series and came back. And I remember after that series, I'm like, oh my God, we got to play another series after this? It was, those are two big, tough teams that we played, Philly and Toronto. And took a lot out of us against Philly, but we had efforts from everybody, right from Marty, right from out. It wasn't one guy. It was all of us, and that to me, that Stanley Cup team was it was everybody that we took. It took everybody to win that, and that's what's so special.
Who scored the goal in Philly that won that series? Is he?
Patty did.
Yeah.
I mean, I passed it to him.
Yeah, we tell you that. Switch the roles.
Like that fast?
I did. It was right on the tape.
Not a little out in front now.
No. You can never give a bad pass to a good player. That's what Slava Petrislav said.
Question still? Yeah, right here.
Well, my first question's for Patrick. I saw the documentary, and I was wondering, when you were in free agency, did the idea of being the villain, coming back as a Ranger, does that affect your decision? Is something you even think about, or at that point is it business is business, and that's not really something that comes into your mind?
Just for others who may not have heard it.
Why I wasn't even thinking about going to Rangers, that was the question. No, and I'm being honest about it. People ask me, when there was a time when I almost left the Devils, and that was the only time, honestly, and it wasn't really. It didn't came from me right away to even think about it, because I was a free agent first time ever, and there were no negotiations going on with the Devils. And Lou told me after the season that there's gonna be other teams interested in you, that probably gonna pay you a lot more money than we can, and you deserve it, and good luck. So that was it. And I haven't talked to him since then, and from that point on. So. It kind of got me ready to really think about that my career is gonna go a different way to a different team. And when the free agency opened up, I wasn't thinking that I'm gonna go or I would go to Rangers. It's just there were a lot of teams at the beginning, and all of a sudden it's happening, things are happening. You have to make a decision. You don't make a decision. All of a sudden there is 5 teams only. There's 3 teams, and it's kind of a very stressful time, and at the end of the day, it was two teams, you know, and that was one of them. And a few minutes later, it was just one team that stayed out there, and it was the Rangers. And you know, we tried to talk about, you know, what would be the possibility, what would be the deal, what it would look like, and because the Devils never called, like I've never had a talk with anyone. We approached them, but there was no interest from the management. So I really didn't have any other choice. So at the end, when I wanted to have the no trade clause, which was kind of a big deal, obviously, and I said that if I'm making that decision, if I'm thinking about going to New York, I want to have the no trade because it is the worst team for the Devils fans for me to go to, and you know, and there were other two things in the contract, and those things didn't happen. They didn't want to agree to it. I'm like, okay, you know, obviously that's showing me that you might not be loyal to me as much as I'm thinking about being loyal to you. And I made a call. I'm like, I gotta call Lou myself. So I picked up a phone and called Lou and told him, listen, this is where I'm at. I'm having a talk with the New York Rangers. Is there something that is there a way that we can maybe work it out? I'd love to stay the Devil. And he goes, wow, what if he's doing this? I'm like, Jesus, we haven't talked in 3 months, and all of a sudden he's throwing things at me, you know, hey, what if we do this lengthwise, and what if we do this money-wise? I'm like, okay, if there's any chance that I can be the Devil, you know, for the rest of my career, please call my agent, try to get it done. Within 5 minutes I signed with the Devil, so I don't know if he was waiting, you know, I don't know if he was waiting for me to call him. Honestly, I really don't, because you would have to ask him that, but it just was so surreal that there was no negotiations going on prior or during the summer or during the free agency, but then within like 10 minutes we had a deal done. So I guess it wasn't supposed to go that way and make all of you fans a little bit nervous and maybe have something to talk about later on, I don't know. But I'm happy, obviously. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm happy I did make the right decision.
We'll take one, yeah, indeed. Because for the rest of your career, this boo every time you came to the arena was not
I would be on the highway, on a truck would be like, where are the Devils fans?
One more question. Right here in the back.
So I think when people hear the names Peter Sikora and Jason Arnott, Patrick Elias, they automatically think the A-line, which is the first thing that we all think. For people who aren't Devils fans or people who are just hockey fans, stepping away from the A-line, who are the best players that you ever skated with, either on the line, on the team, whether it was, you know, a Devils teammate or anybody in the league, but, you know, Patty obviously only played here. Who are the best guys besides each other that you ever played with?
Wow, good question.
Peter, we'll start with you.
Sure.
That would be Patty and Malkin when we played in Russia together.
Yes. You know, it's when I really think about it, yes, I did play with great players, but having really fun playing, the most fun I had with Jay and Patty here. So you know, like I did play with great players. I think in Anaheim I got to play with Paul Kariya in auto modes for 40 games, and we created a great line. But you know, Paul Kariya, I don't think he said hi to me twice that season. You know, like so we never really created that. We never really created kind of that fun. You know, that stuff. I was excited coming to the rink every single practice, and that obviously got to play with Sid for about 30 games, and Gino Malkin, I played with Gino.
Did Sid say hello to you?
Yeah, Sid is a good guy. Sid is, you know, he is very professional, but he is up to his team.
Boy, you can't hear it because they're like, ooh.
No.
You asked the question, so don't
Sid's a good guy. And you know what's best about Sid, where, you know, obviously, come back to my son again, he always goes, Daddy, text Sid right now, text him. So every time I text it, I don't do it that much, but we probably text every other month, and he's the guy who responds within 5 minutes. So you know, he's a good guy.
It's the new age, media, you know, social media, they're on it all the time on the phone. It's good.
Jason?
Playing with other wingers, there'd be no other player that I played with other than these two that I had so much chemistry with and loved and helped me resurrect my career. But if your question is like, what other players did I think that were, you know, some of the best players? I got a chance to play with Peter Forsberg in Nashville for a little bit. Kind of everything he did was like the elite level. You don't really notice it because you're playing against him, but when he's out in practice and every pass is perfect and every shot and such a great guy, he would be one of the best players that I played with. Paul Correa I got to play with as well. Mike Modano in Dallas. You know, I got to play with a bunch of great players, but and line mates. A lot of my line mates were great, but you know, it's hard to have two guys that you click with as much as these two and what we had together. You know, I just never had on any other team. You always have one guy that you clicked with, or one guy that you always were on the same line. But to have three guys is special. It's you don't find that too often, especially nowadays.
And Patrick, the last answer will be from you.
That would be Alex Mogilny. Because a lot of people forget about him, and he was unreal, that guy. He's scoring, like, he was a scoring machine. He was so talented. And one game or one period he couldn't do anything, and he throws his skates in the garbage. He's like, I'm done, I'm terrible. Just complaining about
Faking a heart attack. Like his heart was
seriously, that guy was so good.
all the time. Really.
He like checking his
I
pulse.
think I'm having a heart attack with the trainer's room.
But that guy scores, what did he have, 76 goals?
Oh yeah,
As a rookie or
unbelievable
something?
player.
He's just unreal player. And
If he hasn't hurt his back, he's got
Oh my.
650 or more. Unbelievable.
yes, and you know, and honestly, Scotty Niedermayer, you know, as a obviously not as a, I didn't have a chance to play with him on the line as a winger, as a forward, but on the line I did. And that guy, the way, oh my gosh, the way he played, just didn't break a sweat doing it. You know, we were like huffing and puffing, and he's like, oh yeah, doesn't even pay attention. And he just was like fourth forward out there with us, and that's why also we were that successful, you know, as a line, because he was with us out there a lot of the times. And probably during that time, a little unsung hero was Brian Rafalski. You know, he played with Scotty, right? He played with Scotty, and most of the time they were behind us. They were the pair that was behind us, and he was on a power play with us, and it was just unreal. It was chemistry again. It goes a long way, and as a line, and to have the defenseman that can get the forward and gets the puck to you, it was that easy to play the game sometimes. And as Jason said, we had so much fun coming to work, coming to practice, and some of the practices were tougher than a game to us, and that was unreal.
Well, it was a special time tonight, a special evening. Ladies and gentlemen, the A-Line. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and some time. Peter Sikora, Jason Arnott, and Patrick Elias.